Stellar Fundraising Auctions presents Black Tie and Tails. Brought to you by our partner Sojourn Ventures, featuring your co-hosts Greg Quiroga and Devon Bell. Welcome to Black Tie and Tails, where we share tales of triumph and tragedy. From behind the scenes of the wonderful world of fundraising auctions, I'm half of your co-hosting team, Greg Quiroga, joined as always by my co-host Devon Bell.
Hello all.
And this episode, Devon, we're going to launch right into it and talk about my way or the highway. And as consultants, we try to come from a place of collaboration and partnership. And one of the things I tell clients is, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to make recommendations. I just want us making conscious decisions. But if there's something that you want done a specific way, just tell me and I will do that. And every so often, somebody forcibly tells me that.
Yeah, that's right. We ride a sort of balance between, we have done hundreds of these. We have way more experience than your organization does with running fundraising events.
Probably.
However, we have way less experience being your organization than you do. So we want to learn from you about the things that you know about your event, and we hope you learn from us about the things that we know about what works and what doesn't, best practices, if you will.
We were talking about auctions, like the challenge of getting an auction that somebody else has been doing, and an auction that has come in a really interesting full circle now. Hillcrest is back.
Oh, you're doing Hillcrest again.
I'm doing Hillcrest again.
All-time favorite crazy party.
All-time favorite crazy party, amazing community, wonderful. And Hillcrest, the first year I worked with Hillcrest was in 2005. And they were the first organization to introduce me to buy-ins.
And their buy-ins were wildly good.
They were crazy. They did a 32 lot auction, which sounds like a marathon now, but that was kind of closer to like what the norm was for school auctions 21 years ago. They did a 32 lot auction and 16 of those lots were buy-ins. Right? There was a ton of buy-ins, and I'd never seen buy-ins before. So I was trying to get them to move away from the buy-ins. And I was trying to get them to focus more on doing winner take all lots, trying to up the ante on better trips. And, you know, we got a safari package. And I remember the chair's mom bought the safari package, and it was like $3,000, and it was the most anything had sold for. But 3 years in, and we're not really making more than $3,000 on individual packages. Like, we've maxed out at like individual packages.
And 10 couples at $300 each. There's your safari.
Well, so what I'm like, there's a new auction chair. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but she was awesome. And she was an Olympic athlete, ex-Olympic athlete. So she had a really commanding presence and really had a good sense for the community and the auction. And I'm meeting with her and I'm trying to be like, hey, I really think we should be. And she's like, hey, Greg, hey, let's take a step back. You keep trying to make our auction about individual bidders, and that's not our crowd. That's not our community. You need to recognize that our community wants to be part of the buy-in, that they will be tall poppies together.
The donor base for Hillcrest has buy-in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, look at the fact that in the course of the 3 years you're with us, sure, individual winner-take-all lots have gone from 2,000 to 3,000, but buy-ins on an individual basis, the most we used to get was $600 for a single per spot for a buy-in. And last year, you sold the trip to Tahoe for 9 guys at $1,800 per guy.
And that's probably cigars and brandy or whatever,
right.
A round of golf,
just a chance to go hang out and talk. I mean, and stay in somebody's house. You got to stay in somebody's house, and the house is rent. But I mean, for 9 guys at $1,800 per, I mean that in and of itself is almost a $20,000 auction lot. Yep. She's like, you need and so what I need. Well, she just laid it down. I need you to stop trying to make our auction into something it's not. I need you to embrace buy-ins in our community. And I was like, oh, wow, I get it, right? This is different. And that was sort of the beginning for me of stopping, ceasing my desire to prove I'm a consultant, prove I know what I'm doing by coming in and bringing my cookie cutter and making every auction the way I know it should be, right? Because I was like, oh, we have to start the auction by 8:30, and we have but if we're going after 8:30 p.m., it's too late, and we have to start the auction before you serve the entrees. And I had all these rules because I learned rules at the very beginning, and then
and those didn't come out of nowhere.
Right,
a lot of those are best practices a lot of the time.
Sure. But that sort of led me down the path of, if I come in and try to make it my way or the highway, I'm going to miss the opportunity. Like, I have a sticky note on my computer right now that's my motto for this fundraising season, and it's, where's the opportunity? Right? Like, and I just met with Hillcrest again for the first time in a decade. I haven't worked with them in a decade. And so I said, here's what I remember it like. Shared screen, here's my spreadsheet of the last time I did a lot order for you and what the buy-ins looked like. So what did you do last year? And knowing that that's what I understand your auction to be, where is the opportunity for this year?
Update me.
Yeah. Instead of being like
culture.
Yeah. Instead of being like, oh, well, this is what you do now. What the hell? What's wrong?
This is what you used to do.
Yeah.
Why'd you change?
Yeah. Why'd you change? But yeah, so the first year I presented at the National Auctioneer Association's Benefit Auction Summit, which is taking place right now.
Nice name drop.
Yeah. Well, I don't go. I haven't been back in a decade. But the first time I did go, I submitted a proposal for a presentation on embracing the exceptions. Mm-hmm. As a consultant, you need to be open to the exceptions to the rule, because if you're not, you're going to miss something.
When a client during consulting asks you, so what's a good number of auction lots? So what are the hot things that are da-da-da?
Yep.
So what's a great theme for and what I always say is, this is an art, not a science.
Yep.
There is no right way. And if you're wondering what I've seen a lot this season, I can tell you, right? Oh, it's Taylor Swift. Oh, it's Hamilton. Oh, it's right. The theme for the party. Last year, it was all Great Gatsby over and over and over again. So we can give you information along those lines, but we always try to stay cognizant of the fact that, hey, it's your event.
Yep.
It's your organization, and we can't possibly know as much about your organization as you do.
Nope. And the question, how many auction lots should we do? I always answer like, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but how long do you want your auction to be?
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Measured in minutes. Tell me minutes.
Yeah.
You tell me minutes, and I can tell you number of auction lots, and we can do the math in the middle, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah. If you throw in one more lot, that's going to be 3 more minutes.
Right.
But if you throw in 3 more lots, that's 10 more minutes.
Right. So. And I recently had an organization. Well, how long should our auction be? Okay. Well, what else is on the program? Right. Like, what else are we doing? Right. You know, like there's a series of questions. It's not a simple, your auction should be 45 minutes long. Right.
Right.
It should be 15 lots plus a fund to need.
If the rest of your program is an hour and 40 minutes,
right,
then you might not want to do a 45-minute auction.
You might not want to do an auction.
Right. Definitely not at the end.
Yeah. You might just want to do a fund to need.
Yeah.
Or maybe your crowd's there for that. But yeah, you just never know. There's no simple answer on that. Just like there's usually not as simple an answer as there is when you need a trip to reach out to our partner, Sojourn Ventures.
Elegant.
When your auction is in need of international travel, check out Sojourn Ventures. They curate trips to Bali, Spain, and Italy, where they have 3 options now. Cortona, as always, that's the foundation of Sojourn. Literally, the foundation of Sojourn is in Cortona. They've got great relationships there, but they also now can send you to Venice or Puglia, where your bidders can spend a week in the warm Mediterranean waters on the coast at the heel of Italy's boot. Actually, you're not staying in the waters, but you're playing in the waters. All these trips have reasonable consignment packages, over a dozen curated reasonable consignment prices on over a dozen curated packages that include round-trip airport transfers, full-body massages, daily breakfasts, in-home chef dinners, and more. Your buyers will enjoy top-level concierge service, 2 full years to redeem their trip, and as I've said before, but I'm an auctioneer and I love repeating myself, all at reasonable consignment prices. Check out sojournventurestravel.com or look for the link in the bio of this podcast. We've both been told what to do, and not always as gently or constructively as that.
Yeah, well put.
You were sharing a story before we got going that was you had a couple.
Well, I'll give you a bad one. I wouldn't say necessarily, wow, they were so ungentle and mean to me, but they were unyielding and dismissive of my concern.
Okay.
And, the story's a little bit like your Gala reality story from the last episode where they had the super big wallet in the room, but no one had specifically made sure that they were going to raise their paddle. And when the time came, he looked around expectantly like everybody else. So this was an event I had done before. I had done it 2 years before. This was the third year. And it was a challenging. They always did challenging ones. I remember it was music. It was symphony, and they one year they did it really cool. One year they did it in a museum, like a car museum or an airplane museum, something like that, car museum, and they had the different sections of the orchestra set up amongst the tables so that when they played music, the guests were hearing the symphony all around them, like in the middle of it. It was extremely cool.
Wow.
So they were a great organization. And this year they were doing it at a planetarium, which, was kind of spread out and had its own challenges. And as we were doing the consulting process, I said, and this was early on in my career where I learned from you, like, where do we have a paddle at the Fund and Need?
Right.
And the year before, we had gotten a paddle at 10,000 and then a couple paddles at 5. And so they said, well, we're going to go out at 10,000. And I said, okay, do we have a paddle at 10,000? They said, no, dismiss it, right? No, but we're not worried about it. There's plenty of thing in the room.
Lots of money.
And then I'm like, okay, do we have a paddle at 5? And they said, no, but there's lots of money in the room. If anyone doesn't do 10, for sure they're in for 5. And it was early enough in my career that I didn't know to say, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. That sounds like a recipe for total emotional momentum crunch. So you could probably tell where this story's going. So we do the appeal for the Fund and Need, and we go out. All right, who's in for $10,000? Crickets. $5,000. Nope, not gonna do it. And you could just feel the joy and the celebratory magic sucking out of the room. Go down to 2,500, and we get a paddle, but it's got that. I think you said that last episode. It's a paddle, and it ain't a joyous paddle. It's anticlimactic.
It feels cheap.
The look on the donor's face, like.
I'll do 25. I'm in for 25.
Okay, right. And then a smattering at 1,000. So when the event ended, I went, we usually go and find our contact, whether it's the director of the organization or the development director, or whatever, and, say, hey, we'll set up a wrap. Thank you so much. And they say, oh, that was great. Or, and when I went to see her, we both gave each other the look like, wow, that was a pretty spectacular failure, actually. And, unrelated story, that development director left the organization and she went somewhere else.
Apropos of nothing.
Yeah. But I didn't know that that's a time when I should have leaned on I'm telling you I know best practices, and if you leave that flapping in the wind with no one guaranteed, you are really looking to have exactly what happened, which is even when we start getting money, the vibe has changed, right? And it's like all a bummer from there on. Everyone feels the lack of momentum from there on in. That's why we do a lead donor, so we can go yay, right? And off we go, as you say.
Right.
So I was too early in my career to lay down the law or whatever, or make it clear to them the gravity of going out like that on a limb at multiple levels in a row. But lesson learned, and I wouldn't let that get by again. And
it's an interesting challenge to be the middle-aged white guy in the conversation, right?
Middle-aged, I appreciate you.
Yeah, right? But I mean, I always try to acknowledge it because the vast majority of the organizations with which we are working are populated by younger women. Yeah. Right? The nonprofit sector is dominated by women. There are, I was recently in a pre-event meeting, and there were 3 other dudes, and I was like, whoa, 3 dudes, where'd you guys come from? But I mean, generally speaking, and so there's there's being cognizant of that power dynamic, right? I mean, a consultant, and sometimes it's really stupid, but sometimes as consultants, we get brought in to say the thing that they've been saying all along, but because we're the consultant, we carry more weight.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
I recently got invited to present to a board meeting, and it was really super. Like, I highly recommend, if you invite us to board meetings. We love to attend board meetings. Even better, love to present at board meetings. And we try to come in and not be too like my way or the highway with the board, but sometimes we are tasked with representing an agenda that is already existent and the board just isn't hearing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And sometimes our contact, the development director, the director of the organization, they say, I told this to the board,
right,
but I need you to come and tell it to the board.
Yes.
So they don't think that I'm just pulling this out of thin air, right?
And so work with this organization. They do a huge event, 700 plus people.
That's huge.
It's a networking event in their industry, right? So you get lots of sponsors who buy tables and then reward their employees by bringing people to enjoy a party. Right.
The expectation of giving there is minimal.
Yeah. And so I said, like, the my way that I laid down at this board meeting was like, look, I need you to, normally I'd be here telling you I need you to do 3 things, right? Normally I'd be here telling you I need you to bring in auction lots, but your team has already done such a great job. We've got the auction taken care of. We don't need you to do that. Although if you have something really freaking magical, please bring it, right? But normally I'd say bring in auction lots. Number 2, I need you to bring in bidders. Right? Like the thing that I tell board members is I need you to bring in bidders, because if you we only need 5 new bidders to radically change an auction. Last episode, I talked about the Central Coast Wine Auction.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a year, the Central Coast Wine Auction, the year before, had raised $700,000. And the following year, they got 2 new bidders who, just those 2 bidders helped push the amount they raised up to $815,000.
Glad they were in the room.
And it was one of the women, like one of the new bidders, she'd gone through the catalog, she'd looked at everything, she'd marked it up, she'd put her bids in on everything. She came prepared to play in that live auction. And the simple act of bidding other people up increased that auction by, I think it was like 15%, right? The 115,000 of 700 was like 15%. It was great. So I told him, I need you to bring in bidders. And then I said, I need you to show them the way. Right? I need you to participate in the auction, because anybody who says an auction is boring has never had that oh shit moment where they almost bought something, right? Like, anybody who says an auction is boring doesn't play in the auction. And so what I did at this particular board meeting was I brought a bottle of wine, brought a bottle of Howell Mountain wine, and I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to sell this right now. And the money is going to go to your organization. So it's not coming to me. This is a donation from me. This is a boardroom on a Wednesday afternoon. Like, I was the last thing on the agenda, right? They've been there for an hour 45, right? Like, I was the last thing. They had some food. It's, the air conditioned, but still, right? It's the reality, to call back to the last episode, the reality is very much more reality than gala. At that point. Yeah. And I said, but here's this bottle of wine. And I could go on about the winemaker and the vineyard and the scores it's gotten. I could tell you that this bottle retails for $175, but that's not the goal. Like, the goal is to get you to not behave logically. But we'll start $10.
Bunch of hands go up.
Bunch of hands go up, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, jump to 10, 60, 70, 80, 90. Sell the thing for $200.
Right. And what is it? It's a $60 bottle of wine.
$175 bottle.
Oh, so
it was a good bottle.
Was it a Magnum?
No, it was a single bottle.
Oh,
Howell Mountain.
Howell
Mountain.
Okay.
$175 bottle of wine. Sell it for $200.
Could have bought it online for $175 right then.
Right. Oh, yeah. Easy. I mean, the phone's out. Good Wi-Fi in that building. And when that was over, and I took it to the guy, I said, you can pay, the organization, the money doesn't come to me. But at a certain point, like, we were at like 160, and I was like, this is where it's meant to be exciting. This is where you need to cheer to try to get him to bid over retail. And everybody cheers, and so when it was over, I said, okay, did you notice to the crowd, did you notice how important it was? I said, there were the most important bidders were the final 3, obviously.
Yep.
But But did you notice how crucial it was to have these bidders all at the very beginning? And I went through and I pointed out each one of the board members who had bid at 40 and 50 and 60 and 70. And so the my way or the highway in that is was I need you to make the auction exciting. Right? I need you to participate. You don't have to buy, right? Like everybody who bid on that auction item and didn't buy it made for 3 minutes, that room was electrified.
I guess when you're telling them this, you're not telling them what a dangerous game it is to raise your paddle in order to make action because
they know.
Yeah, there's an unintended consequence that
I tell them
rears its head.
If you bid, you have to be able to afford it, right? Like you can't back out.
Right.
You have to be able to afford it if you're going to bid. But on the flip side, like having them it was a good mental culture shift, right? Yeah. And it was one of the ways to like part of the challenge, to circle back to it, part of the challenge that we have as being outside consultants is finding ways to engage with committees or boards to get them to come around to a new way of thinking,
yes,
or to embrace a way of thinking,
yes,
without just drawing a line in the sand and without just saying my way or the highway.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And in your case, what a perfect example, which is that you can put 50 more butts you can put 50 more guests in that room, right? But it will mean if there's 50 are the employees who are getting the tickets free,
right,
it means nothing compared to those 2 people, right, who are 6 figures just by themselves.
Yeah.
We ride the line between coming in with expertise and wanting to share that in order to make the event a success,
yep,
and being respectful of their organization and not just coming in and dominating. You said control, right?
Right.
Is there's certain things that we actually do want to have control over, because if we don't, there might be trouble, like not having a lead donor, right? And there's other things that you can go too far and kind of exert your control on them, right? Kind of auction-splain, like how things should go.
Right.
And auctioneer-splain, you can auctioneer-splain how things will go. And they might know some intricacy of their organization or their event that you wouldn't know no matter how many other ones you did, because it's specific to them. So I had an organization where every year they just did 6 lots.
Okay.
And every
year. That's a short auction.
Yeah, very short, right? That less than 20 minutes in and out.
Right. And a fund of need?
Yes, the fund of need. And that's where I'm going is they put the fund of need in the middle. 3 lots, fund of need, 3 more lots. So you can imagine, I did that for several years. No. Right. Why we do the fund of need in the middle is because we have so many lots that we're afraid of eyes glazing over.
Right. Yeah. Want to build up, but you also want to build up enough momentum to then get to the fund of need and have like people bought in. And for me, the minimum number is usually 5. I like to do 5 lots and get to the fund of need. Yeah. So if it was 6, I would put the fund of need at the
end. Absolutely. Yeah. And we'd have a bunch of good reasons why.
Sure.
On the warm and fuzzy, get all the rest of your money from your thing. There's just a bunch of reasons to make it good. Also, the lot after the fund of need, sometimes sacrificial land.
Sure.
Because we're changing gears, you know.
Right.
I learned
refocusing the crowd.
I got this view. What a great, beautiful community moment. Now let's go back to getting things for ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so that's sometimes can be an awkward gear
after
change.
That, you deserve something special, and I've got it. You can buy it
right now.
That's not all you get.
But they were always really insistent.
Okay.
And they were always kind of, and I will say, it did just fine.
Okay.
And since they never did the fund of need at the end, I never got a chance to measure and see if it was going to be like appreciably better. But I will say that the years that I did it and they did 3 lots of fund of need and 3 lots, it did just fine.
Okay.
So they know their organization, they have their way. And at a certain, there's a certain point where you got to say, hey, it's your event.
Right.
It's your event. So.
Right. I always say, look, I'm going to come in with recommendations as a consultant. I have expertise that is founded in having done 21 years of these events, right? Like in most cases, I see more events in a year than most development staff will see in their lifetime.
Right.
You've
done the number of events that they've done times hundreds.
Yeah.
Times hundreds.
Yeah. But on the flip side, and so I say I'm going to come in with these recommendations, but what I want is to be making conscious decisions.
Yep.
Right? That's all it is. It's a conscious decision. If we're going to open the fund the need at $50,000 and it's a limb, then let's understand how shaky that limb is and why we're going. And let's explain why we're going out on that limb, right? Let's not just go out on 50,000 because the money's in the room, because it never is. Or maybe it is, but it isn't until you don't know until you know. And the best time to find out isn't on stage.
That's right. That's right. The best time to find out is not when the consequences are going to be catastrophic right there in that moment.
Right.
So and we're both respectful of the idea that there's the money in the room.
Right.
I love that. You know what? Let's go out. Let's make sure we have a lead donor here, and let's go out on an open-ended live above that and go, hey, I said I'd be ambitious and start at 50,000, but I wouldn't be doing my job, ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't put it out there. Is there anyone tonight moved by the Spirit who wants to give any amount in excess of 50, right? Because to go out at 50 and then it turns out there was someone who wanted to give more, well, we fell down. That's our mistake, right? Is because we can't make anyone raise their paddle, but what we can do is make sure they have every opportunity to raise their paddle, give them good reasons to do it, make it as quick and easy and fun and gratifying as possible. And if someone wanted to give more and we didn't have a slot in our event for them to do that, that's on us, right?
No, that's totally on us. And it reminds me of, I was doing first time I did an event for John Muir Health Foundation in Walnut Creek, the East Bay here. Wonderful organization, great healthcare, huge room, 800 people. And they'd had one event before me ever, right? So I did their second year of their gala. And we like the development staff tells me, we've got a donor at $10,000. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Open the fund the need at $10,000, not just one, but there's plenty. Great.
Should have gone out higher, right?
Could have done.
Yeah.
But a guy comes up to me and says, someone at my table thinks you should have started higher.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Okay. Where do you think, where do they think we should have, he goes back to his table. I'm like, so where should we have started? And so he has a conversation with somebody and he looks at me, yells across the room, 100. And I was like, so you don't mean we should be started at $100? That can't be it. So I'm like, right. I'm like trying to do the math and I'm kind of flabbergasted. And it's not often that I am so gobsmacked that I don't know what to say, but I'm like,
yeah.
100,000?
Badee.
Right. And he says, yeah. And I'm like, whose paddle should I put? Are they gonna are they saying I should have started at 100, or they're giving 100? And there's a little bit more of a conversation, and a paddle goes up, and 1, 2, 3, $100,000, right? And it's like, oh my gosh,
that probably just equaled the whole rest of the fund need if you start at 10.
Yeah, pretty darn close, right? I mean, room 800 people, we got a decent amount at 1,000. I mean, but yeah, at least like a third,
sure,
right? You know, at least a third,
yeah.
I used to not be a fan of giving inmates control of the asylum, so to speak, right? Yeah. Which is a really, that's a crass and kind of demeaning way of saying giving donors input and agency in the auction and the fund the need, right? And one of the things, so when somebody says we should start higher, we start higher. I mean, that's kind of like, that's stupid.
If a donor says it,
yeah,
hell yeah.
Stupid easy to do that, right? And in fact, I came back the following year, and that donor wasn't going to be in the room, but we had some other people who might have been, right? There was some capacity there. There was somebody we thought might do 100, but we weren't sure. And I said, okay, let's do this. Make a conscious decision, right? Let's make this a strategy, not a hope. Let's have somebody lined up at 50. Let's have somebody lined up at 25. If you can do that, I am comfortable going out on a limb at 100 saying these exact words. Last year, somebody told me we didn't start high enough. I'd like to think that I learned my lessons. So we've got to, and to make sure that the donor at 50 is not going to be pissed about being leapfrogged.
Sure.
Right?
Getting upstage.
Yeah. And they were cool. We're cool with it. Everybody's cool.
They could always give 100 if they wanted.
Yeah, well, they were fine with it. So say, we've got a generous donor lined up who's about to launch our fund to need at $50,000, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, does somebody want to give more?
Yep.
Last year,
open-ended limb.
Last year, somebody kicked us off at 100. So 100, does anybody want to do 100? And it's sitting and it is heavy. And the room is silent, pin drop silent.
Pregnant pause.
Room of 800 people, pin drop silent. And out of the corner of my eye, because I have really good peripheral, out of the corner of my eye, I see the development director for the foundation coming up to me going like, just move on. She's like ready, like, no. And I'm like, and I turn to the back of the car. I'm like, look, I understand it's a big limb. It's a big ask, but you only get what you ask for. And I wanted to 1, 2, 3, $100,000, right? And
crowd goes crazy.
And then 4, 5, 6, $100,000, and then 7, 8, 9, 100,000. And it turns out that third person who gave 100 had never been there before.
How convenient that they had 7, 8, 9 as their paddle. That worked out perfectly.
Yeah, perfectly. The third donor had never been to that organization's gala before, but they walked in and they were like, "Oh, this is where we live. I love what I've seen so far. I believe in the mission." To go back to our last one, they were in the reality of the gala, not the reality of reality. They were emotionally engaged, and the playing field had been set, so they were in.
What I always call that is moved by the Spirit.
Moved
right?
by the
You're
Spirit.
getting moved by the Spirit to do something that you didn't maybe plan to do when you came in. I also want to touch back. I thought you were right on point with the talking about letting the inmates control the asylum.
Sure.
So when we're talking about writing the line between telling you what works and then accepting this is the way you do things, that's kind of in the consulting process.
Right.
But there's very much a funny game, a funny tension, a funny power play that we play as the live auction happens.
Sure.
Which is that, Greg, you and I, we have no power whatsoever to make anyone raise their paddle. I know. Exactly.
Don't ruin it.
It often feels like the auctioneer is like running things, but believe you me, we are not running things. Right? I don't have one paddle in my hand. So there's another tension there, which is we're trying to keep control and keep it all reined in, even though we intrinsically just don't have any.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which reminded me of one final story.
Okay.
We don't have paddles, reminded me of this. So I work with an organization in San Francisco. They have a board member who is an incredibly wealthy philanthropist who's one of those donors where presidential candidates swing by her house for fundraisers in election years. And her husband used to volunteer as auctioneer at a number of events in San Francisco. And he was fine at it, right? I mean,
impressive.
His ability was he was peer level with all the donors.
Yeah.
So he could do things from the stage that we can't, right? He could look somebody in the eye and say, come on, Gordon, talking to Gordon Getty, you and I both know that, blah, 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 you can give this, do it now. And then get Gordon to bid 50 and then go to the next guy and call him by name and get them to bid 75, move in increments we'd never move in and engage bidders in ways that we just can't.
It would be, they get to use social pressure in a way that would be deeply insulting if we tried it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And inappropriate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like inappropriate. So, I do their auction for a few years. Everything's going great. And then this board member says, I'm going to chair the auction next year. And everybody says, great. Oh, it's the auction. She's like, but the catch is that my husband's going to do the auction.
Same guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So better than none.
But I'm getting booted for her husband.
Are you in the consulting, or are you just gone?
I'm gone.
Okay.
Right. I'm gone. I'm out.
Well, I'll wait to see how this story ends.
Well, but what I like, the development director was like very aghast. Like, I'm so sorry. But I'm like, no, it happens. And let's be real. I told her that in the moment, like, look, I am never going to write you a $250,000 check.
Yeah.
Ever. Like for me to be writing any organization a $250,000 check means something else has gone fantastically well. Like I've won a lottery somewhere, like some relative I didn't know left me $1 billion.
Let's just say never.
Yeah. Okay. It's easier to say never. Yeah. I'm never going to write a $250,000 check. So if your donor who writes you a $250,000 check every year is going to say, I'll chair the auction, but my husband has to do it. I get it. Right. And so, I mean, the obvious place this story would go, I mean, they I don't know if he's still doing their auction or not, but the last time I talked to this development associate, I think it was pre-pandemic, she was like, yeah, he's good at the auction. He's just not as good at the fund of need. Like when he gets to the fund of need, he just doesn't let it sit as long. He doesn't let it be as uncomfortable. He doesn't doesn't celebrate every donation the way that you did. And I said, that doesn't surprise me.
And you're like, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. But on the flip side, his wife writes a $250,000 check. Right, you know, like when you're writing 6-figure checks, you get to make ultimatums.
Well, and maybe when she says he's not great at the ultimatum, you must have been like, I just found a lane. Right. I just found a lane for me.
Yeah. I mean, I hopefully I communicated it to you early on, but I've always been a firm believer in the power of the fund of need, right? The paddle raise, the raise your paddle, whatever you want to call it. Like that to me, like the auction's fun, the auction's engaging, the auction's a blast. But if I'm doing a long auction with the fund of need in the middle, a good chunk of my brain is trying to maintain understanding of where we are in the flow of the event to make sure that we're getting to the fund of need successfully. And then once the fund of need is done, the auction lots after that are so like relaxed and free for me. It is like there's a lot of pressure, self-imposed.
As long as the fund of need went well.
Yeah. Right. Or if the fund of need didn't go well, it's like, well, okay, that's over. Maybe now. I mean, there's a couple of events I do where we just know the fund of need doesn't do well.
Yeah, there's some that are like that, and that's something where you really want to work with your client because there's no reason that the fund of need shouldn't be the most money per minute that you make all night. Right?
True. Yeah. But there's I work with the Howell Mountain Vintners Association and Sam Peters, and the Howell Mountain Vintners will take no offense when I say the majority of the crowd isn't there to donate money to the fire department.
Yeah, they want
the majority
wine.
of the crowd is there to buy wine. Yeah. And so the wine lots do really well, especially compared to retail. We start the bidding on that. Don't tell the bidders, but we start the bidding at 75% of retail. And originally we started doing that because the auction wasn't doing great. It was ramping up, but eventually the crowd started you start at 75% of retail when you think you're going to get 2 or 3 bids. Right. You're like, well, those 3 bids might as well get us closer to retail than starting at 50%, right? And we start at 50%, we got 2 or 3 bids. So it was like, well, screw it. Let's start at 75. Now we start at 75 and get like 15, 20 bids, right? So now like, woof, the auction's doing great. Sure. It's the fund of need is never like, I think our record's like 50,000, right? Which for a room where single lots sell for 20, 25,000, that's a pretty bad ratio. But again, it's the culture of that event, right? That's just the way it is. The crowd has let it be known.
Yeah. Haven't you? I have certainly multiple times. They're a super anaphilic crowd.
Sure.
What they're into is wine.
Yep.
And then the organization's like, we want to have art in our auction also. And so they have a couple art pieces. And I say, remember last year when we only got 1 bid on this one and we got no bids on this one? So do we really want to do this? Right? Like and again, it's your event. If you're going to my way the highway me on that, then of course I'll sell the heck out of that art. Sure. But let's not clutch our pearls if it doesn't. It's not a home run, right?
Yeah. Art and jewelry, right?
Oh God, yes.
Art and jewelry. So I have one last thing, and it's jewelry, and it's we've got an organization where they have a jeweler who donates to the auction. And because of the relationships on the board and the committee, we have to have the jeweler in the auction. And so last year's piece, everybody, my way or the highway, gets put into the live auction. We have no choice but to like put this thing in the live auction. It's an $8,500 bangle that, like, let's be honest, like if it's going to be jewelry and it's going to be in the auction, then it has to be accessible. Yeah. Like a tennis bracelet is great. Everybody wants a tennis bracelet, right? Sure. Pearl necklace, diamond earrings, these sorts of things. This bangle valued at $8,500. I mean, you can only begin to imagine what an $8,500 bangle that's an inch wide actually looks like, right? I mean, it was just, it was a modern art piece that you wear that was really specific. And we got one bid, got a sympathy bid, and it sold for like $5,000. And so this year, the jeweler's back.
You're like, thank God.
Thank God.
Get me at it.
Oh
Get
my
me out of
gosh,
here. Yeah.
right? You know, or maybe it was a $15,000 piece and it sold for $8,000 for one bid, right? I mean, it was just, it was painful. So this year, the jeweler's back. The jeweler's back. And I said, you know, taking a play from Ed's book, this is an Ed play. What if we get the jeweler to agree to a 60-second shopping spree? So the winning bidder gets to go into the shop. And I said, the jeweler can pull back whatever it wants that they don't want somebody to snatch up, right? But you've got you got
to pick X pieces or something.
One
right?
piece.
One piece. Okay.
In 60 seconds.
That's such a great idea, and I'm sure this is where you're headed. It's such a great idea because it's a contemplative, deep relationship with a specific piece of jewelry. Not that you don't want jewelry, but you don't want that bangle.
Right.
I don't want that bangle, even if it was $3,000. Right.
But we're always trying to sell experiences, and jewelry is never an experience, right? Jewelry is about the promise of the experience if you purchase it. Oh, you'll like all of the old misogynistic, sexist tropes about, get out of jail free card. You're going to forget
treat her like a queen.
Right. You're going to forget an anniversary or a birthday. Buy this for her. Sisters are doing it for, she's buying it for her. So, like all that bold bullshit, right? Like it's all aside. Like jewelry is never about, but this turns it into an experience where you get to, and it also makes it newsworthy, right? Like everybody remembers the old, 3-minute shopping shows where people are filling up the carts with as much as they can. Like there's this weird nostalgia to these old shows.
Yeah.
And here we go. And so we recommended it. They took it back to the jeweler and the jeweler loves it. 100% on board. Going to be doing it. So I'll report back after it happens. That event's in October.
Oh, that hasn't happened yet.
No, not yet.
Well, that's a great idea. And if I ever have something like that where the jeweler gave the piece and they're involved with the organization, I think I'm going to throw that out there. Yeah. It's really good.
It's a fun one. And I'm not sure what the takeaways are for My Way or the Highway. Like, there's the whole, like, I guess the takeaway is to make conscious decisions, right? I mean, we always,
always,
repeat, yeah, exactly.
It's not optimal to come in and start going, I'm the auctioneer and here's how we should do things. Right, and if you don't, you're blowing it.
Right.
And it's also not optional.
It's auctional though.
Yeah, it's auctional. It's not optimal to come in and then go, okay, whatever you want to do.
Right.
Because, we see situations where, wow, the chance of this going poorly is really good.
Right.
So we're going to at least let you know.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, we're going to be intentional and let you know. And at the end of the day, it's your way or the highway. It's your event. And we're going to give the effort for it to succeed. So hopefully you take some advice about what might succeed.
On the flip side, sometimes we can be the foil, though. And if there is a donor who's attempting to exert their will, saying my way or the highway, sometimes it's hard for the development staff to be like, no, we can't do that. But it's easier, and it's easier for us to be the bad guy.
Right. They didn't give you the check.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so to come in and be the one who said, and it's always funny to have when staff ask the question and they're like, so we have this thing.
Right.
And there's all this like about it, but nobody's saying it like, what do you think? And you're like, I feel like this is a trick question because the answer seems really obvious, but I'm going to say that absolutely, that should not be in the live auction. Okay. Good, because we've got a donor who's insisting it is. Like, oh no, tell them the auctioneer said no. We've got a donor who wants to do this 5-minute skit before their auction lot. Yes. Oh God, no. Tell them the auctioneer said it's going to kill their auction lot by 20%.
Right. So-and-so is giving, but it has to be a match. And so-and-so is also giving, but they say it has to be a match. and so is also giving, and they say has to be a match. You're like, okay, well,
yeah,
as too much.
They can all match each other. Great.
Call it good. Yeah. They cancel each other out.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, I think and sometimes it's to the takeaway is to experiment, right? But again, conscious decision. If we're going to experiment, let's acknowledge that we are doing this as an experiment. Let's acknowledge that we are trying something to see how it works, right? Like I've been really high on the paddle drop this year.
Me too.
Yeah.
In fact, when clients say what has happened a lot this year, I say I've done more paddle drops this year than ever before.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, before last year, my number was 0, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'd never done any before last
paddle
year.
Sweep. Yeah.
Paddle sweep, paddle drop, call it whatever you want. I just recommended it to the High Desert Museum, right? Just got back from there. And I'll be really interested to see what the actual numbers are,
right?
Because we got Sun, if you go to Bend, Oregon, Sun River Resort. So Sun River Resort was in the house. They had a table. We got to the $100 level, said, okay, everybody, we're going to do this thing. And thanks to Tom, the CEO of Sun River and the Sun River staff, you get 2 nights in a lodge room and 2 rounds in a round of golf for 2 on either of their courses.
Yep.
If your paddle's the one that's drawn in tonight's paddle drop.
Yeah.
And I think last year we got, I want to say 17 gifts at $100. And this year I'm waiting for the actual number to come back because I'm not sure how many people. I'm hoping everybody paid because the number is so preposterously high that I'm afraid some people just thought they were recycling their paddle. Because we got 153 paddles.
Dang. I was actually going to say, to some extent, this is more about feels than actual X's and O's of bringing in money.
Sure.
Because we can all do the math of how many hundreds it takes to make one 5,000.
Right.
But 117 from 17.
153
from 17. Hello, that's 5 figures.
Yeah.
That's 5 figures.
And I've seen plenty of paddle drops where the year before we had 20 and this year we had 50, right? Which is that 3 grand. Like, so if that 153 is the right number, right? Let's say there's a 30% variance on that. And so let's say 120 is the right number.
Still.
Right? That pays for me, my flight, my hotel,
right,
and still makes them thousands of dollars. And that's just on the paddle drop. That's not even talking about the performance on stage for the rest of the auction, the fund, the need, the consulting, anything else.
Yep. The difference.
Sorry, I'm I'm done smacking myself on the back there.
Did I mention that? It kind of
most humble
finishes the perfect package that is me. So, sometimes it isn't huge from a numbers X's and O's, from an X's and O's perspective, but I'll throw out some other things that make it great.
Sure.
Is number one, it makes it real easy to take something that you were having trouble monetizing and go, oh, we'll throw it in as the drawing for the thing, right? You already have a drawing. You already have a game. You already have like a silent, right? You've got, so here's this thing.
But if you've got a donor who's saying, you have to have this thing,
right,
and it must be your
special.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right?
Paddle drop's a great place to use it.
This is their special moment. And then another nice thing about it is you don't have to call numbers at 100, right? It makes the fun and need a little shorter, especially if you got 153, you would have been there all day, right?
1, 2, 3, $100. 2, 2, 2, $100. I'm the joke I make in the paddle drop is like, look, I know I love my voice, but I've been talking for a while and I'm sure you're ready to move on.
Yeah.
Not have me talk. So let's do this together.
Yeah. And it also really ties into the vibe of the like hoping for 100% participation. Even if you haven't had a chance to pledge, here's your chance. And line from Greg. And even if you've already given, throw in another 100 and X organization will do something good with it.
And it justifies giving again in a way. So if somebody's given $10,000, they don't think to do $100 again. Right. They've already given. Why would I give again?
It's 1%.
What's $100? Why would I give again?
Yeah.
And so what happens at the $100 level is you get these people who $100 is what they can afford.
Yep.
And they raise their paddle and it's kind of, they feel yucky because somebody else has given 5,000 or 10,000 or 25,000.
You're a short poppy.
Oh, you're like, you're one of those little dandelions that's like growing up between the cracks in the concrete, like people are treading on you and it just doesn't feel good. So the two means of making that feel better. One is to have a challenge grant at the lowest level, preferably issued by somebody in the room.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So that you, oh, wow, match $100. I want to see everybody give. And I've seen that motivate people to give again.
Yep.
Because what you need is people giving again so that there's enough people so that there's those first time givers feel like they're part of something.
That's right. The money we get from this is the difference between what we got of just having $100 level and doing it this way.
Yeah.
There's our profit.
Right. And, doing the paddle drop makes it part of something.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm part of something. I'm not being seen as being cheap. I'm being part of something. And there's something about the action. I have yet to write the white paper on it, to really dive into the psychology of it, but it really seems that like that summarizes it.
So have you had this? You know how part of the verbiage is, you've been so wonderfully generous, and in fact, after this, you won't need your paddle anymore, and so blah, blah, blah.
Fun.
Well, yes, but I've had more than one organization said they felt like it was making the $100 level into kind of an afterthought, and they didn't think it was honoring the $100 level people.
Okay.
And what I would say, right, is number one is the $100 level's not where we're bringing in most of the money anyway.
Right.
And it's a real opportunity to have something like you said, a moment right at the end where everyone's in.
Yeah.
Everyone's in this moment, right? Even if you already gave 10, you're in this drawing too.
You have a song. You play a song during the paddle drop.
Oh, it's got the Jeopardy.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, no. Like something fun and upbeat and jazzy, so that it's not all just me going, okay, everybody, 3 more, 1 more minute,
Sure, it's a pretty good idea.
Just have some 24 karat magic.
Right. Or what about get it going, and then you can even bring up the thanks everybody, blah, blah, blah. Party keeps going. The bands will play again. Or maybe distracting. I don't know.
Saturday night, it was crazy. As soon as I announced what we were doing, people were like, oh, great. They dropped their paddles and split. Like before we even drew the winner,
must be present to win.
Half the crowd was gone. I was like, wow, okay, here we go. Like how many, and they brought all the paddles up, and it was, had the kid that had been in the front row come up and draw the paddle, yeah. Oh, kids. Anytime you can pull the kids in and get them involved.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if their parents are letting them bid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
parental consent jokes flying.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other takeaways. Do a paddle drop. Ask us about it. We're happy to talk about it. I think that's it. Thanks as always, brother, for joining me on
It's my pleasure.
Podcast. Thank you, listener, watcher, for joining us for this episode of Black Tie and Tails. As always, remember to
like, subscribe, turn on notifications. All the things.
You can check out the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, all the places you find podcasts. You can find us again next time. But until then, remember to use your powers for good.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.